You're listening to Rule the Galaxy podcast. I'm Vanessa Marshall, Harrison Dulon, Star Wars Rebels. May the Force be with you always.
Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy fans, it is Joe, and we are going to do an extra special show today. It's kind of it's like, what do they call those? Free range chickens. We're just out there. We're just off on our own, no rules, no anything. We're just having fun, talking about different topics. And today, in episode, I think 310, it's just me and my cousin Alfie. So that's it. You can always follow us at all of our followings that we're on all podcast platforms. Check us out on YouTube. Like us, subscribe to us. Also, send us an email at rulethegalaxysw@gmail.com. I want to thank D-Doc and Jake James Lugo for doing such a great show the other day. I was ill. Alfie was running kids to practice. So they went and ran a show on their own, and it was awesome. And thanks to you guys. And the whole crew will be back together probably next week. But in between time, it's just me and Alfie talking. So, Alfie, how are you, brother?
Doing good, man. I'm just taking a little break from work to talk some Star Wars.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate it. We haven't gotten together. We took a week where we had some different things going and no show going on, so we took that off. And it's good just to catch up on things and discuss different topics and everything like that. Is there anything pertinent in the Star Wars world that you'd like to start this conversation with? Because I've got my mind spinning on all kinds of things related to 2026 or 2025, I'm sorry, and what we've got planned and coming out. I sent you the list. 2027, which is the 50th anniversary. I'm not going to lie, listening to Rebel Force Radio, they made me start thinking about the 50th anniversary. But also, when I interviewed Mark and Mark from Bantha Tracks recently, we started talking about the 50th anniversary, and it just got my mind spinning on things we could and should do. So that's the only topics I've got. But any topic you want to start this show off with today?
No, let's go. You got your list. Let's go for it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to start with your chat that you brought over, and you didn't think I read it, but I did. But I get so many from you and D-Doc that I always have to catch back up. The Acolyte news. First of all, there's some comics, and I guess there's 2 books coming out this year about the Acolyte. But we're being told that the Acolyte is like a super popular show on Disney Plus, and it's hit all kinds of numbers. But in reality, what's it like, Alfie?
Well, yeah, they started pushing this chart for the end of the year views on Disney Plus, and the Acolyte came in second with like 2.5 billion minutes viewed, something like that. Made it seem like it was a success.
Right.
Second most viewed show on their platform. But if you start breaking the numbers down, like Squid Game 2 just came out. That did those type of numbers in just a few days. Where this is Acolyte's entire
Right.
year.
Right. Right.
That's comparable to most episodes of Mando. One episode is getting that amount of views on
Ah.
Disney Plus.
So, do you think it's more related to Acolyte, or as you've been saying, is it just more related to Disney Plus?
Yeah, I think it's more related to Disney Plus. It's just not as popular as it should be. People just aren't watching stuff on there. Even the Marvel shows that came in, were still fairly low in numbers. Obviously they're behind the Acolyte.
Right. Well, I think the what was the witch one?
Agatha.
Agatha, yes.
Yeah,
Agatha, they've already said no second season for that one, if I'm not
right.
mistaken. So, look, I think we've talked about it. I think we're at a tipping point for Disney Plus.
hmm
Do I think there's a need for Disney Plus? I do. I think there's a need because I think if you were able to just give me the library and make it to where I pay a certain amount to where I'm constantly looking in and I can watch anything on the library, whether it's Disney, whether it's Pixar, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's Marvel, I love it. I love the quick recall. I don't have to get out a DVD. I don't have to go rent a show on some streaming service. If I can just watch whatever I want whenever I want, I think that fills a need. It really does. But I
hmm
think I think we're using this the wrong way. I think most of these things, if you want to put an off show here or there on Disney Plus or ABC/Disney because they're related, that's fine. But I think these companies, especially Marvel and Star Wars or Lucasfilm, they need to go back to the movie business.
Yeah. It's
And that's
just not cost effective to spend $250 million on a series that no one watches.
yeah, no, I agree. I think it's very interesting and it's got its appeal. There, look, I loved Stranger Things on Netflix. Could watch it all the time. There's shows I watch on streaming all the time. I will tell you, I mentioned before, Apple TV is putting other streaming services to shame. They're getting top tier actors, making top tier content, and making stories that make you want to watch those shows, right? Ted
Hmm.
Lasso, Shrinking, Silo. I forget the morning show one with Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston. Heck, it might be the morning show. I don't know, but all those things, top tier, like quality television, and it's good stuff. And I'm perfectly okay coming back week after week to watch those. It's just like watching ABC, NBC, and
Hmm.
CBS in the past, but they're just doing it on a higher level with more gratuitous, language, nudity, smoking, whatever they put in their little snippet at the top. But that's not what they're doing with Star Wars and Marvel. They're not making those kind of shows. I mean, that
Yeah, outside
quality.
of, I mean, Mando is just top tier. You're not, does lightning in a bottle, you're not going to recapture it. I think the other ones were okay. They all had some great moments, but
Right.
overall weren't that great. Um, I think the next season of Ahsoka is going to lead more into these movies that are being made. I hope so, and the story and quality stays. But again, I don't really think that one was nearly Mando quality. I mean,
Right.
if you look at this list of what the top 10 shows were, Mando season 1 and 3 were still on the top 10 list of most viewed for 2024.
That's awesome. That's absolutely great. And Mando, let's face it, Mando's already going into the movie business.
Right. Yeah,
I
you could
mean,
see the financial decision behind putting season 4 into a movie.
yeah, I just look. I've been going to movies a little bit more over the past year. When we came out of the pandemic and people were afraid to go to the movies or whatever, I've been slowly but surely allowing myself to go to the movies. You and I have been to some movies. I go with Tom and Mass quite a bit to movies. The invitation is always there. If we go to Superman or Captain America coming out soon or whatever else is in that realm in the near future, for you to go with us since we're all Southsiders. But the movies to me feel different. It just it feels different than the streaming. A drama, a comedy, that's one thing to put onto a streaming service, but to
Hmm.
put a high dollar science fiction with all these special effects and everything else and a world built around it already, it's not. I don't think it's in for the long run for streaming services.
No, and that was my complaint with most of them. I stopped watching the Marvel series because to me they just seemed like filler.
Yes.
The first episode and the last episode was really all you needed to watch. And how many like fist fights can you watch in the Captain America series? You know what I mean? It was like the same fight over and over and over again.
Well, it's I don't know, man. We saw the change. Let's face it. We were of the generation. I remember the day getting cable TV and
Hmm.
thinking, there's nothing going to be better than this. I have cable TV. I can see anything I want to see. Um, then we saw the change of, well, now there's streaming services, and you could see that between Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu or Apple, man, I can see all these different cool things that I didn't have access to before. But um, I think they're going to dwindle away. I think we're going to see it. I mean, it's already becoming cable 2.0.
Right.
Um, so and the price for Disney keeps going up quite a bit. So Netflix is going up quite a bit. I mean, all of them are starting to raise their rate. It won't be long till some company comes in and says, "Hey, all of you, I'm going to create a package with all of you in it, and I'm going to charge the customer X, but they get all of your streaming services,
Right.
which is basically cable." So, so yeah, so that's where we are on that, and I would agree with you. I think there were some misnomers in the numbers, and I think it really comes down to not one being popular or not popular. I think it comes down to streaming services are slowly fading away for Disney at least, um, and I think if anything, I think we've all agreed that Acolyte was a much better show than Skeleton Crew was a much better show than Acolyte, but yet the numbers are way down
Yeah,
on
they're not
that
good.
show. No. So I don't know, man. Let's see where it goes. But with us saying about being a movie company and making movies, we know Mando and Grogu is pretty much done filming, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
We're working on post production, all that stuff. But as far as I'm seeing, then one big name star outside of the regular group for that is Sigourney Weaver, and
Right.
she's playing an Imperial or an Imperial remnant, if I'm not
I've
mistaken.
heard both, either someone in the Republic fleet high up or an Imperial
Okay.
remnant.
Okay. Well, so we've been getting lots of news with something about her, and then this whole thing with the Levy movie and Ryan Gosling, and listening to other podcasts, reading stuff online. I'm hearing that if he's done and the deal is signed, that's going to get greenlit pretty fast, and they're going to fast track that and make it
Yes,
move ahead of other things.
I've been reading that could start filming this year.
Wow. So if Mando and Grogu are coming out December of 26,
Hmm.
this Gosling Levy movie would be a 27.
Maybe, possibly.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm okay with it. If people will say, "Oh, you know what? We should keep it to be not big name people in Star Wars and keep making it to where it's the story and the effects and the music and everything else that's the star, and we create stars in Star Wars." But I'm perfectly okay with bigger name people getting involved with the shows, and I think it adds a little bit to it, especially in the world we live in today. You know that song "Cult of Personality" by Living
Hmm.
Color. I think we're becoming that, right? Like, let's take the same 10 actors or the same 10 actresses and make sure they're in everything we do.
Right.
And I think you can do that with a Gosling or a Sigourney Weaver or somebody like that. Yes, her days are long past. She's now an older star, but she's had plenty of hits under her belt. Gosling the same way. And if it means it brings and puts more butts in the seats, I'm okay with that. I see you're having so much fun with your phone. Um, But the other news outside of that was, should we buy in or not buy into Nat Portman, Hayden Christensen, and Ewan McGregor all possibly being involved with the next Ahsoka?
I would say the first two.
Okay.
Natalie Portman, I would love to see it, but uh, I think that may be more of a reach.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't looked enough at her career if she's done much TV or streaming. I know she's been a movie actress in pretty much everything I've ever seen her in. So coming to streaming, I don't know if that would be a new thing for her. I know she has kids that are of the age now where they pay attention and see what she's done and what she's been involved with. So I don't know if she's like, this is cool. You know, I can get in. My kids can see me back in Star Wars. I don't know.
Right. Come
Um,
in for a few days, get some work done,
that's right. Make some
see the old
coin.
gang.
That's right. See the gang. Her great relationship that she had with Hayden Christensen.
Hmm. I don't
um,
mind their relationship. I know that episode 2 is not great, but by the third one, I liked it.
well, I'm all for it. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I don't know if it makes sense. The Clone Wars animated series, in my opinion, let's face it, one of the most up and down series of the history of streaming or well, animated series. It became streaming later. You know, there were some arcs where you felt like this is some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen, and then there were some arcs where you're like, wow, that was some of the goofiest stuff I've ever watched in my entire life. But on an overall scale, if you take 7 seasons of that, and let's just say you even just take the good parts of it, there was some really good stuff in the Clone Wars. I don't know if it makes sense to do a Clone Wars live series. Everybody's talking about that. That's the rumor, like with them coming back in these shows and doing these snippets in Ahsoka or in Ahsoka or other things. You know, the Kenobi show, that it makes sense. But I don't know that it particularly does. Um, I think they
It
burnt a
does if you
lot
want to
of that.
make money.
They do make money. They do make money. We've always talked
If
about it. Those checks are good checks.
everyone says they want something new, but if they released that trailer today, it would break records, and AMC's website would go down because of the amount of pre-sales.
Okay, so you're all for bringing the gang back together, putting Rosario Dawson in the Ahsoka role, taking the people from the original prequel trilogy, putting them together, and making a Clone Wars style um, show, whether it's a streaming show or a movie.
Why not? You keep missing, so go for something easy.
Okay,
I mean,
I
the work wouldn't be that difficult because you already have most of the outlines. Pick out some great, 3-episode arcs and make a movie.
okay, I get you. I will live with that.
I mean, it'd
Um,
be a heck of a lot better press than the Ray movie is on its 15th writer and has been pushed back another year.
Well, you bring up the Ray movie, and that's one thing I missed on the Gosling thing to talk to you about because we knew there was one Ray movie, and then I'm being told that the reason Ray has been discussed so much is this Levy Gosling movie is also a Ray movie. Like she's involved with this one as well. Have you heard the same things?
Yeah, there's like 5 different movies that have Ray involved in some capacity. There's a supposed trilogy, a standalone movie, one where she's old. I think the Levi movie is the one where he said he wanted a extremely aged, Alec Guinness aged Ray in the movie.
Gotcha.
But
Okay. And
yeah, I don't know.
are
But
you okay with those?
where else do they have to go? New ideas are hard, so you've got basically one good character left from the sequel trilogy that you can base stories around. It's the easiest thing to go forward.
All right. Well, there we go. We got another check mark on our list here, real quick. So I listen to Rebel Force Radio. I love their conversation about the 50th anniversary. So Jimmy and Jason, thank you for putting this in my mind. But also thanks to Mark Newbold and Mark Mulcaster of Vanthrax when they were on our most recent show. We did some talks about um, well, first thing that came up was we started thinking because Mark Newbold is going to the Japan celebration in
Lucky.
2025. Yes, very lucky. I told him to hook up with our Uncle Matt to say hi to him while he's out there. So hopefully they will meet up. I'd love nothing more than a picture from either one of them in Japan meeting up and saying hello. That would be incredible. But I've been trying to figure out a way for myself and both the Marks to meet up. They're in England, I'm in Indiana. It's not like the easiest thing. And I tried to meet up with Mark Newbold in Florida when he was there and I was there. But when you're 7 hours away in Florida, not the easiest thing to do on your
Hmm.
vacation. Um, so we started talking and we said, you know what? No matter what, the 2027 Star Wars celebration might be the biggest blowout they ever have in celebrations. You could invite any living people back from the original trilogy. You could invite everybody back from the prequel trilogy, even bring back the sequel trilogy people. It's going to be a celebration, and it should be 4 days, the biggest event they've ever done. So I'm guessing neither LA or Orlando because it, makes sense around Disney and so forth. But we made a pact together because we started thinking about it. That has to be, if we can't before then meet up, our meetup location, right? Um, that either the Rebel Four or the Rule of the Galaxy guys and the Fantasy Tracks guys meet up there, or whoever's available meet up at this event. But it really started making us think about, holy crap, the 50th anniversary is 2 years away. Um,
Hmm.
and when looking at that, I heard Jimmy and Jason talk about it, but off the air, we even talked about it more, Mark and myself. What direction are we going? What do we want to do? Not only on the screen, on TV, but what marketing do we want to do? Because as you and I discussed, and we'll touch on it briefly before we head into all this, the 2026 list is out. And I mean, I know that's our 49th anniversary with that list, but was it awe-inspiring to you? Did you look at that list and go, "Oh man, this has me pumped for 2020, 2025, 2026 with what's coming up"?
No, not really.
No. I mean, I looked at it and I'm thinking, I was really hoping we'd ramp things up and keep growing, but I think with the bad press we've gotten and certain things going on, we're not going anywhere. Here's 2025. Andor season 2, looking forward to that. Visions volume 3. Just like Visions volume 2, I'll probably watch that once and check it out and see if there's anything good. Star Wars Celebration Japan, the end of the High Republic. I didn't even know we were coming to the end of the High Republic. 2 Acolyte novels, the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, and the 10th anniversary of The Force Awakens. I can celebrate those 2. I can get down for Andor. The rest of the stuff, since I'm not going to Japan, it's not hitting me like I would hope for a year's worth of Star Wars.
No.
But is that enough to get us ramping up for 2026 to be the 49th year and then 2027 to be the 50th year? I don't know if that's enough ramp up. And I think it all has to do with, is it a rudderless ship right now at Lucasfilm and Star Wars to say, where are we going and what can we prepare for to really come out like gangbusters and feel like we have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, an anniversary plan, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know if we can or not.
Well, maybe this is a calm before, the Mando movie coming out in 2026. I think that could make some noise.
It's a good thing.
Yeah,
So
we need something back in the theater. I'm pumped to see Revenge of the Sith again, The Force Awakens. Okay, I'll probably go see that in the theater, but we need a big tentpole movie to get everyone excited about.
I agree. Is there a certain thing, a certain era, a certain focus point? I know you mentioned in there, have a focus. In our text chains, we were going back and forth. Have a focus. Mando movie's coming out. Mangold movie, do we know where that is? You know more than me. And then build around a project and make it to where we're not just shooting aimlessly.
Right.
We're following a plan.
That 50 re-release of A New Hope should have a 2-minute trailer in front of it for a new movie.
I like that. I think that would be fantastic. That by that time, that will be possibly the Levy, Gosling, Ray, I don't know, movie, right? If they're doing that in the spring or the summer of 2027, I'm guessing they'll look at a December 2027 release for that movie. So I guess that could be it. Or could it be a 2-minute or longer preview of what's to come?
I think you should pick one thing, and that should be tied into the marketing for the 50th anniversary. You've got to go see A New Hope to see what's coming. This new movie, you don't know anything about it. Come see 2 minutes of it. Then this is our future. This is where we're going forward.
I'm all for that. Look, I being passionate Star Wars fan that I have been for 40 plus years, I would love to have direction. Even if people thought the prequels weren't what they needed to be based on the original trilogy, there still was a direction there. They were tying up, they were taking you up the apex to where Darth Vader turns and bringing it back down the apex that he's turned and now he's been redeemed back into the original trilogy. So they had a plan on that. Has there been a true plan on things since then on anything? I mean, the sequels, there was a outline sketch of a plan, but then it went in all the different directions we've talked about before to where the plan changed every so many minutes. I don't know.
It seemed like with Mando, they had a plan to build something. And why they stopped, I don't know if it was COVID, if it was financial decisions, if they just, forgot about it. I don't really know. But there are projects from Filoni that's supposed to be in the theater that's supposed to wrap this up. So will Ahsoka season 2 be something that starts bringing it together? Will the Mando movie be something that starts bringing all the stories together? I don't know.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, Mando, all going on same time. Book of Boba Fett also
Right,
same time. So
right.
you could, as you had mentioned before, do an MCU thing of all of those being brought together into a final series slash going into a movie kind of clash penultimate thing. So I'm not against that. I just haven't seen that laid out in front of me. I mean, right now, how long do we have to wait till we knew we were going to have an Ahsoka season 2? We
Quite a
don't,
while.
we don't know if we're going to have. I doubt we have, but I would like it. But with the numbers, I don't know if we'll have a season 2 of Skeleton Crew. Um, so yeah, we're missing on where the direction is, but like we said, maybe we're going to get all that building up to the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. Are there things that you would want to see, projects that you'd want to see if you had your druthers over the next few years, or things that you think would make money, bring people to the seats, whether it's movies or streaming or anything like that at all, that aren't out there right now?
I don't know. It's easy to say, like, I'd want to see Shadows of the Empire or True Heir to the Empire,
Mm-hmm.
or give me a Bounty Hunter series. It it seems like it's easy, so why
Why is
haven't they done that? Why not capitalize on the easiest things to complete that people like?
Yeah, I'd say you take in there and say outside of the Bounty Hunters, Shadows of the Empire, and Thrawn, which I'm gonna guess, unless they had Ray be the Luke role in the Thrawn trilogy, they'd have to do something animated for that, or something animated for Shadows of the Empire, unless they recast everyone. Which
Right,
I a long time ago I was anti recasting and just said just leave things, but you know, by like you've mentioned 100 times, by the end of Solo, it didn't bother me that
yeah,
he was Solo. So if they had to recast and rebuild Shadows of the Empire, the Thrawn trilogy, things like that, I think I'm all for it if they followed a good storyline like that. I also think between bounty hunters, people would go watch anything to do with bounty hunters. But I think Darth Bane or Revan, both of
yeah.
those things, and you don't even need to tie those into anything with the current characters or anything. Alfie, you got
I got
balloons.
balloons. I don't know how I got balloons.
I don't know. I love it. You finally got balloons on this thing. So I mean, those are all things that you could make and people would go see. We've talked about that. I'm a big believer that we have the technology now, we have the artwork, we have the structure that you want to make some cash cows. 50th anniversary, re-release the original trilogy in an all animated form. Redo the entire thing and make it 2027 New Hope, 2028 Empire Strikes Back, 2029 Return of the Jedi, with the Clone Wars Bad Batch kind of. Man, you're getting balloons again.
I got balloons
Um,
again. I don't know how I did that. Let me put my hand down.
but you know, I think that's a cash cow waiting to happen. I mean, I think you could do that with the technology we have now and the world building they've done in those areas, to where people would line up to go see those. Maybe I'm
Right,
wrong, but I think it's a quick, easy fix. It's animated, so it's the same story, but a new version. You can make the stunts and everything a little bit more spectacular, the explosions a little bit bigger and
right.
better, all that kind of stuff, but make it an animated thing. Leave the music in there, the whole thing. Just do it in an animated form. So I think that's something that I would like to see if you really want to make a big shebang. I think you and I have talked about it for the 50th anniversary. one of the things we loved as kids was all those documentaries and all those
Hmm.
behind the scenes things. Bring those all out. Bring everything we've got. Put it on Disney Plus if you have to. Release it as any kind of physical material that you want. But I think people want to see that magic. They love to see that magic. And there's so many. They did a great job on what Mando season one, right?
Right.
They did that great roundtable. Do that. Bring everybody who was involved in the past. Make roundtables about those movies. Make it to where heck, I would want to see make a roundtable about the people who did just like the toys that made us or whatever that documentary on Netflix. Bring in and do a roundtable on all the people who made the original Kenner line and where it went and the ups and downs of it and how it ended in 85 or whatever, just because of a contract flaw and slippage and all that kind of stuff. But talk to the real people and do it through Lucasfilm, through Disney, and all that kind of stuff. I think all those kind of things where you see the inner workings and the magic of what made Star Wars so great, I think those would be fantastic things to put on for people to watch.
I agree. I'm going to date myself here a little bit, but I can remember the first time Star Wars was on ABC,
Mm-hmm.
and there was all that stuff before it. We just watched it for hours.
Yep. I mean, anything we could get our hands on, we took it and watched it. And I guess that's a different world because nowadays people just open their phone and see most of that, any of those things splintered into 15 seconds or 30 seconds at a time. But maybe people today don't have the attention span to sit down and watch a 2-hour documentary about a movie. I don't know.
I do.
um, so am I crazy to think any kind of special releases of 3 3/4 or Black series makes sense at all for the anniversary? Does it make sense to take any and all characters that we were missing and make those any and all characters like the top X characters from each movie and make those? I don't know. Do you think that's even plausible? Do you think it would just be old guys like us buying them, or do you think there's a market to where kids would buy anything like that, or people would buy those for their kids to re-release? I mean, you could legitimately bring in a whole new group of people to basically say we're starting back over with Star Wars, and here's everything being re-released just like it was back in those days. But as we release these movies again, we're bringing in a line of toys to go along with them.
I don't know. Part of me says it's mostly just old guys like us, but then there's a part of me that wants to believe that you could do that and get people excited again. I mean, I'm not the right person to ask because my daughter loves Star Wars toys, so we buy them all the time. I
Right.
know that's not the normal, but we still do. And if you were to have a big display at Target, we would buy stuff from it.
Okay. Another thing I'd like to see them do, if they would consider it, is put out a poll, or at least a handful of polls, of here are 20 characters we're thinking of making from the original trilogy. Vote on which characters should be made. Here's 20 from the prequel trilogy. Here's 20 from the sequel trilogy. Vote, and we'll make, 10 of them, 12 of them, whatever. Same thing with Clone Wars, Rebels, all that. Do you know how many characters there are that they never made
Right.
from those series, even like things like that people would probably eat up if they were like, hey, this just completes my collection, right? I've got this character that I always wanted, and I don't know. Again,
It's tough because so many characters we think like that and they warm the pegs, but try to find a clone trooper. Have you ever actually seen a stormtrooper Black Series on the shelf?
no,
Why not?
I don't know.
They're so hard to find unless you order on eBay or buy at a convention or something. And honestly, even at the cons I go to, I don't see many just regular stormtroopers.
It's weird. There's always people that like to do army building. You'd think they
Right.
would they would make
That's
10
why you
times.
can't buy them because
Right.
those people buy all of them.
You'd think they'd make 10 times the amount of stormtroopers and clone troopers as they do of anything else. So you could just build them right up.
Right. And since they don't, every time they offer a clone trooper or a stormtrooper, they instantly sell out and you can't buy them.
Yeah, I agree. Is it wrong for me to think that in 2027 they should re-release each of at least the original trilogy movies, or like once a month release a different movie of all the Star Wars films? Or should it just focus on A New Hope?
I think it should probably just focus on A New Hope. Maybe
Okay,
some places do a marathon.
that would be fantastic. I don't
Break
think
it
I've
up
ever done
into
that.
trilogies,
Yeah, I could see myself burning up a few Saturdays or Sundays.
Yeah.
Um, just saying, hey, I'm going to watch the trilogy right in a row, back to back to back. Buy a pass, make sure I've got
Hmm.
snacks and food, and sit there all day. I can see that. I don't know. Do people have time for that anymore? I say that, but I guess it's appointment viewing, right? I mean, you're
Right.
setting that across. It's like having when Christmas is every year, right?
Right.
So you can plan and put a weekend or what have you of a marathon like that. And I don't know, with all the clubs and the organizations around out there, that Rebel Legion, the 501st, all those kind of things, the collectors clubs, the droid building clubs, the podcast followers of, I mean, if some of these large podcasts put together and said, "Hey, we're going to go do the marathon this weekend," how many people would show up and say, "We're in. We want to go watch that with you," right, in their area or region? So,
Like, I would love to find a copy of the original New Hope and have an event at the Artcraft in Franklin.
mm, wow, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. And then the same thing, you can invite the clubs, podcasts, whatever. Come watch the original Star Wars on film at a historic theater.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. It'd be like reliving it again. I don't know. Again, we're old guys talking. That's what this show is. It's four guys who are in. Well, not D Duck. D Duck's still young. I'll shut up about him. But me, you, and Brent are all older guys, and we get to live through our history and our background. So I don't know, man. What are some other things we haven't hit on that you think related to the next couple
Hmm.
of years and the planning and all that kind of stuff that we can add to this? I don't want to beat a dead horse.
I don't know, man. Star Wars it's a tough one because it seems like it should be so easy. And some things are really successful and others aren't. You know, how do you compare to Luke Skywalker? How do you make something to compare to that? Because you know as well as I do, if the trailer for Filoni's movie, the wrap up of this Mandoverse,
Hmm.
Filoniverse, whatever you want to call it, if you ended that trailer with a from behind shot of a black cloak holding
Mm,
the green lightsaber, people would go nuts.
they would.
So how do you create something new that's going to grab that Star Wars attention like Luke Skywalker?
I don't know, man.
Do you try, or you know, or for me myself, when I think about Star Wars ideas, it's like what I read, like J.J. Abrams saying, as hard as we tried to write something new, at the end of the day, we kept rewriting A New Hope.
Yeah. I will say this. Let's look at it demographically. For you and I, seeing that black cloak and the green lightsaber, it gets us to be 6-year-old, 7-year-old kids again.
Right.
I can almost guarantee you, when either Ewan McGregor or Captain Rex or Padme or Hayden Christensen slash Anakin gets on a screen, if they release something and said, that's the tag at the end of a preview or a sizzle reel, I bet you a bunch of people in their early 30s, late 20s would
Right.
would do the same thing.
I agree.
I'm hoping, but I can't say this, that if they did the same thing with a really garbled up, shockingly red, shaky lightsaber with a hilt on it that went out both directions, did that at the end of a trailer, then maybe a bunch of people who were 10 to 15 would do that. But I don't know if they would or not yet. I don't know if it's built into their DNA like ours.
I don't know. I just don't know that generation connected with the trilogy the way we did.
Too splintered, too many other things to think about, like consume their time.
I think a little bit of that, and then a little bit of they could never decide on like what the goal of the movies were moving forward. How are we supposed to feel about these characters?
Yeah. And which is funny because it was all pre-COVID. So, I put a lot of things on Society Today of people look at things a lot differently once COVID hit and how to approach certain things, how to look at certain things, right? But all three of these movies were made pre-COVID.
Right.
So, I don't know.
It's like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. People always say, "Oh, he did the most Jedi thing," non-violent, blah blah blah. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren still killed billions of people. He didn't try to turn them. He didn't try to convince them to turn away. He let some people escape, which was a great noble act. I get it, but still, at the end of the day, what did he stop?
I guess
By
he
the
gave
third movie, they still didn't even know the basic questions about Rey. I thought the whole point was anybody. It could be anybody, but no, she's actually Palpatine. And I think that confusion really hindered people from latching onto those characters.
Just wait. 20 years from now, they're going to re-release The Rise of Skywalker, and at the end, they're going to say, Ray who? And she's going to say, Ray McClunky.
McClunky.
I don't know, man. Let's you know what? You and I could sit here for another hour and just go bash things. We don't need to. We're going to go positive. We're going to look at it and say, over the next 2 years, where can we go? Where can we be excited? Because honestly, watching those weeks of doing the post shows on Skeleton Crew, we said it's not the best Star Wars ever made. It doesn't go up there with Empire and Sith and all those kind of things. But you know what? It was good fun Star Wars.
Right. Just like the Solo movie. I'd say the same thing all the time. Sure, it wasn't super serious, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be galaxy saving. It's okay to tell a small, good, fun story, an adventure.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to our podcast, when it comes to fandom, when it comes to different things like that, as long as we can just have good things, as Brent always says, that entertain us, that draw us in, it doesn't have to be works of art. It doesn't have to be hanging in the Louvre. It just needs to be good, solid shows and or movies. At least that would be my hope and druthers. And I think we'll be happy as clams. So yeah, I don't know. I think we've hit on it. There's lots of things. There's lots of potential. I think that we both think that the 2025 thing is just it's okay. And I'll celebrate Force Awakens. I'll celebrate Revenge of the Sith, and I'm looking forward to Andor. But the rest of it, I know there's fans out there. God bless you. Go. I'm happy for you. Go read the books and watch the things that are coming out. But I want a little more meat on the bones. If Disney's and Lucasfilm are gonna make all this investment, let's put some more meat on the bones, get some butts in the seats, announce some nice new animated series. We talked about it before we break away. What animated series would you want to see next?
Shadows of the Empire.
Okay. Are you a big believer that the comics can be just ripped up and destroyed, right? Like at any time?
Oh, yeah.
The amount of people who read the comics.
That's pre-Disney anyway, so.
Yeah. But Disney's come out with a line, between Star Wars and Empire, and they're coming out, or I think they finished a line of between Empire and Jedi,
Oh
but
yeah, you're talking about those comics. Okay, I
yeah,
gotcha.
but I mean, to me, that's remember how there used to be G level canon, C level canon, all
Yeah,
that. I think anytime you're looking at books and comics, you can feel free to shred those and just make it fun stuff to fill your time.
I
What
agree.
what they put into a movie slash then a streaming means more than those other things do.
I agree. I
Okay.
think it's like I keep saying. I think it's low hanging fruit. It'd be an easy project to do. You wouldn't have to devote so much time into writing the story. It's already there.
Yep. Okay. Good.
Get
All
an
right.
easy win.
That's right. Let's get an easy win. It's sometimes a lot more difficult to come by than we think, but an easy win would be nice. Alfie, look, I've taken you away from work. I'm getting bombarded with work stuff as well, so we're going to break away. But thanks for taking the time. I know it had been a
Hey,
few
no
weeks since
problem.
we've gotten together. Um, and you go enjoy the rest of your work day and the weekend. I'm gonna
I
go
will.
go do the same thing. But looking forward to next week when the gang's all back together. And heck, you know what? Before you know it, man, we're going to either be at Indiana Comic Con or ICCC or the Great Ohio Toy Show all together and having some good fun times. So,
Can't wait.
yep. And we'll connect soon, and I'll get you that droid from Scott Rifen, and the world will be
Thank you,
right.
Scott.
That's right. All right, guys. That was a quick show for me and Alfie. We just wanted to touch base. It's been a while and talk over some silly topics that we've been looking at. And so thanks for following. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. That's episode 310 on the Rule of the Galaxy podcast. Thanks again to D-Doc and Jake James Lugo for doing episode 309. And you know what? We'll have plenty more to talk about next week. And I'm sure Brent, who's going to listen to this, is going to come on next week and say, enough daggone toy time and reminiscing time. Let's talk about the new. And I will agree with you, Brent. Let's keep focusing on the good and the new. And until next time, may the force be with you.